If you like our content about training, then you'll love our programming too. Head to the notes below to grab a free week of general physical preparation. You get unlimited access to me and fresh programming every single week for less than $1 a day.
Bobby, meet Jacob. Jacob probably puts you on a pedestal more than most people in the industry. Jacob is the 2IC of general physical preparation. He achieved his first ever dunk last year, I believe.
Yep.
And yeah, he's just an appreciator. He's got a million questions, but he's the 2IC, so I'm going to get this started. Your social media has continued to explode over the last year. You're a busy family man. You're busy at work, but have you had much time to go out hunting with the dogs?
I literally just got back from a 4-day trip up in the wilderness in northern New York. No service for 4 days. I didn't post for 2 consecutive days. That is the first time, I think in 3 years, I went 2 days without posting. First day was weird. Second day, I'm like, this is nice. I need this. I need this. But it's awesome. Hunting season's starting up. I'm actually leaving for Idaho October 11th. I'm driving out. My family's going to fly out and meet me. I'm going to spend a month out in Idaho. Social media land will probably have no idea. I start batching as much content as I can before I go out. And I don't like to share that part of my life. It's mine. I don't want to kill it.
Because this is a conflict that I have as well. Like, everyone's telling you to be authentic on social media. And I crave that. And I feel like you're someone that I look at as authentic, but then there's still boundaries and there's still constraints on that. You're not giving it all up for social media.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, people want to see authentic. They want to see behind the scenes. But that's time when I'm out there and I got my dog. I'm with my like I got my hunting friends that I train dogs with and go all over the country. And it's like, I'll know them for like a year and a half, 2 years. We'll become really close friends. And then they'll come across my social media and they'll be like, what is that? Right. And it's like, I don't ever talk about it. And I think one of the major reasons that I've been as successful as because I don't value it. Right. I hardly ever actually draw the attachment from that number on my screen that I look at to actual humans, like to actually think about, I'm just looking at it before. There's 691,000. And for me, it's a metric for the business, but that's people. Like, there's actually people on the other side of that. And it's like, I try to now I was thinking of like a stadium. Like, you couldn't fit that in a freaking stadium, 691,000. It's pretty ridiculous. And all I had to do was start saying, I post good drills, follow me.
There is no stadium on the planet that is capable of hosting that many people inside it at one time. It is absolutely astounding to think about. How do you manage the duality of, because I see that you don't give much of a fuck, but then there's this other side where you're showing up daily and there is so much energy going into it. How do you find that balance? Because as well, I know just with your history coming from a background of addiction and scarcity, I didn't come from as necessarily as dark as challenging of a past as you, but I know that once I got a bit of success, it becomes very, very hard to say no to things, and it almost becomes this addiction to the things that got you out of the situation you're in. What was your experience with that, and how do you manage that? Because talking about recently that couple of days break from social media.
I need to find things that balance my life. So I've got a huge and incredible support circle, from therapists to meetings I go to my wife, to my baby, to friends that I have placed in my life all around me that, one, keep me grounded, call me on my nonsense. There's no difference in my circle today with the followers I have than there was, 3 years ago. I got a Gabe here and a studio and a mic set up, but like my life at its core has not changed whatsoever. I am not after private jets or, millions of dollars. That'd be nice, but that's not the driving thing behind this. It's more seeing what I can do and leaning into discomfort. I mean, 3 years ago, I was a nervous wreck being on the other side of a camera. I could command a presence in a gym. And I think that's the greatest. What's allowed me to do this isn't my first rodeo, right? I've only been doing social media for, let's say, 2-3 years now. Let's kind of seriously. Prior to that, I was running a successful gym for 10 years. And I got to a place with that where I could run camps and clinics and I could command a presence, and I knew I had a knack for that. And now this is just shifting a focus to another medium, right? And I think if more trainers good trainers. Like if you're a good trainer and the way you go about training, right? Testing, retesting, trying to bash your biases, right? And just looking at the individual in front of you, right? It's the same exact process to anything else out there. So the same way I train athletes is the same way I train, grew a following. Test, retest, what works, what doesn't. And that's pretty much it. I know the question was more about balance, and that's support system, doing the things that are completely opposite from what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
The answer was fire anyway. I just love that. Just probably the most succinct summary of what a good trainer is that I've ever heard in my life. They test, they retest, and they just bash their own biases. It's like you've got to be your own biggest critic up until the point where you can't be bashing your own ideas to the point where you're not taking action. But up until the point where it's going to make you stop taking action, be your own biggest critic. Because then when someone else is shitting on your training ideas, it won't stress you out as much because you're like, no, I already shit on it myself. Like, I think it sucks too. Like, there's something comforting in that.
They're not even my ideas. Like, I don't know what's my ideas and what I took
derivative
from other people, the amount of information I've taken in over the years. Like, I don't believe like I have a certain way of training. I don't have a good drill modality. Like it's what works, right? I'm all for what works. If you don't like something I do, like, let's talk about it. We take this so freaking seriously and it pisses me off. And that's why I'm able to do the skits on social media, because I'm not going to take training athletes seriously. When I started 12 years ago, newly sober, just freaking trying to build, who I was. If I was 5 minutes late for a client, I'm freaking out. And it took actually getting married to my wife, and I'm freaking out because I'm going to be 2 minutes late to the gym. She's like, "You're not a freaking surgeon." Like, I'm like, "You're right." Whoever I'm training at the gym is going to be fine if I'm a couple minutes late. But part of that, got me to where I am today, how serious I took it. But now I can look back on the whole thing. I mean, it went from Joe DeFranco, West Side barbell for skinny bastards to, triphasic training to easy strength to Wendler 531. And I've been through all of it. They all 1x20, like they all work. And we want to argue over freaking exercises. Like, it's just a crazy thing.
Damn, my next question was actually going to be about power cleans and if they're essential or not. I'm just kidding.
On what?
On power cleans.
Power cleans, yeah.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to take a second to let you know that Angus has poured all of his knowledge on e-commerce and organic content into an ebook, which is now available. If you want to check it out, head to the show notes or the link in Angus's bio. Thanks.
Bobby, I need to get my vert up.
Yeah, it's 16. No,
it's not.
We retested it.
I saw that.
21.
That's a lot of respect for you. A lot of just I had you up here, dude, and now it's
No, okay. So, because I was pretty sure that there was a testing error and that it was more than 16, but I didn't want to lie. And I wanted to own, if it's a 16, I'm going to put it out there and I'm just going to work on it. There was a testing error. It's 21, which is still not good.
No, it's not.
But it's not as bad as what we thought. So can you just tell me?
Definitely not as bad as 16. It's definitely better than 16.
Where does my vert have to be so that we can have a beer together when I come over to the States? And how am I going to go about it?
But
oh, you're right. Yeah. We're going to have a soda.
We'll hang out now. I'm not worried about that.
Okay, yeah, but I need it up. What's my pathway to 30 without a knee tendinopathy? Actually, I'll take.
What are your other numbers? Like, what do you back squat? What do you front squat?
I can back squat over 2 times body weight. Like I can search 170, 180 kilos. I can deadlift 500 pounds. I can power clean 1.5 times body weight. My max velocity is like 9.7 meters a second. I have not done any like approach jumping, like and all my plyometrics are locomotive.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that, I want to look at your past, right? There can't be much jumping involved whatsoever.
Yeah, even when you bound, it's very vertical. You don't get that height at all. I noticed. So.
Yeah, horizontal. Yeah,
you're going after just a standing vert or approach.
So the testing we have in the GPP combine is a standing vert, but we just did that for simplicity. I want to be able to dunk a basketball. that's coming, because then we have to address I have 0 handles, but I feel like I need to put my hand on the rim first. Actually, this is a good conversation. Should I be developing my handles on the go? I'm guessing yes. I'm going to shut up now and let you talk.
I wouldn't worry about your ability to like dribble a basketball, but I would just start jumping with a ball in your hand as soon as possible. It doesn't even need to be a hoop. I like to go back and forth from jumping max effort, right? I like two-step approaches. So I don't see other people out there in the basketball world working out of a two-step approach. So I get in a squatted posture, put, almost in a low lunge, and I just rep with my athletes those last 2 steps. That's where the horizontal to vertical energy transfer is happening. That's where I see the hang up with athletes, like that awkwardness. They can run, they can jump, but trying to tie the run into the jump seems to be where the struggle is. So I just isolate those last 2 steps, and it's kind of crazy. It makes sense. Like, I don't know why more people don't do it. And I just work on those last 2 steps. We can get, shin angle change, squatted, and just jumping. I would start that. I'm over sets and reps at this point. I don't really care, jump without a ball, 2 steps, get up as high as you can, try to beat it the next time. When you're tired of that, put a ball in your hand, jump with a ball, right? Start there. At the end of the workout, tie it in with a full approach. And like, remember what that felt like on those when you were just doing a 2-step approach, right? Now bring it back to a 4-step approach or whatever you want, and just remember the feeling from those 2 steps and try to recreate that feeling. I get a lot of players actually jumping higher off a 2-step approach initially, and they still struggle to tie it in, but that's when we'll move them back for the full approach.
I haven't heard anyone else doing that, but it reminds me of track and field, like doing 2-step, 3-step approaches for long jump, pole vault, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I'm training basketball athletes, so it's so fun. We get to put a ball in their hand, then we're touching the backboard, getting a finish, then we're doing a 360, then it's a backboard net tap. We were just doing it before. I'm soaking wet here. I was just sweating off the court, and then we just get creative. It's like, what's going to make these people have to be in the air longer, right? Once it's easy, okay, 2 backboard taps and then a finish, or whatever it is. We just come up with things to challenge them that are going to have them coordinate their bodies in the air and then get their focus to the finish. But if I'm just trying to jump higher, I'm going to start with the 2-step approach and just like get after that.
All right. As soon as this podcast ends, I'm getting in the car and I'm driving to buy a basketball.
Yeah. So
we're going to start throwing alley-oops to each other, man.
It doesn't even need to be a basketball.
I feel like I need it for the motivation.
Yeah. I want to see you jump. Well. I want to see this jump. I want to see your standing vertical, and then I want to see your approach jump, because I bet it's clunky and awkward.
Okay, I'll send it to you in an act of public humiliation this afternoon.
Yeah, I have people that are just have whatever compensations from a life of not jumping. Like I've had soccer players that were soccer players their whole life through elementary, middle school till their sophomore year, and then transition to basketball. They can never get off the ground because they haven't done it. And that's like years of just not enough time doing the thing you want to get good at. So now it's trying to, break the however many years you had of not doing it.
32 years of ground-based living.
Yeah, let's go. It's time to fly.
Exactly. All right. My question is, we see this good drill being repeated over and over again. For the listeners, what makes up a good drill? What is a good drill?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
What makes up a good drill? The initial good drill came out of me thinking captions were stupid. I'm trying to sound smart and, talk about science and whatnot, about rationalizing what I do. And I'm like, nobody freaking cares. This is a waste of time. Nobody's going to see this in 3 days. And I could record a video and then I would agonize over the caption writing. It's funny now I could rip out captions because I don't care anymore. But at the time I did, and I didn't want to look stupid. So I'm like, this is dumb. I'm just going to start writing good drill, period. So I'm done explaining myself. I know what I do works. I have, anecdotal evidence from my gym of athletes getting better. I got a wall of banners of kids going to college for free. I've got kids in my gym, 38, 39. I've got a couple over 40-inch vertical jumpers. That was a small part of that. I'm blessed to have great athletes walk in my gym. I always got to be careful. I'm not taking credit for, these unbelievable people that walk in my gym. I get blasted for that too. Freaking idiots. Shut up. But what was the question?
What is a good drill? But
What
I
is
guess
a good
it's just
drill?
what
But the
works.
answer is
Yeah.
great.
It's just what works.
I don't know. We're seeking a definition currently. It's definitely not a bad drill.
No, can't.
I want to look at the individual in front of me. What's their goal? And is the drill or whatever I'm bringing them through in the direction of their goal? And the better these athletes get, I believe the harder it gets to find, right? What is the thing that's going to move the needle? And I am driven to seek out efficiency in everything that I do. So whether it's content, whether it's business, whether it's training athletes, I'm looking for that low hanging fruit and what is the most efficient way that I can get an athlete from where they are to their dreams, right? And there's a lot of wiggle room in that. Right. It's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing over the best. I got out of the elite game. I got out of the science. I got out of the freaking research, and I'm just good. Everybody else can battle to be the best. Everyone else can battle to be elite. You want to come at me? I'm not claiming to be that good. I'm not claiming to be elite. I'm just good. And that's kind of my stance on all of it. I've been on a couple training. I knew this wasn't going to be that, so I was excited about it. You know, we could talk training, of course, but I go on with some of these guys now and talk training. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know. Strength training, good. That's good.
Exactly.
Let's get strong.
Good enough. Just good enough.
We always sort of talk about, we're not worried about optimization because we believe that humans don't require optimization to thrive. And we talk about this bandwidth of good enough. And what the art and science of coaching is to us is the science sort of gives us this bandwidth of good enough. And then the artistic side of it is just meeting the individual where they're at within this bandwidth of good enough. I want to know, how often do you see something and think to yourself, bad drill?
There's a couple people
Daily?
out there. I'm not going to name names, but there's things out there that I see that I don't like. Most of the stuff, though, I'm not hating. I'm just not. I don't like bringing a lot of attention to the athlete's body. I don't like overcoaching. I don't like overcueing. I don't like telling people they have to do something a certain way because it's not real, right? We get stuck in this lens of the weight room where everything is T's and squares and perfect symmetry. That's not human movement. That's not sports, right? It robs the creativity from these athletes. So I want my athletes to be able to learn I want them to learn on their own. I want them to come to their own conclusions. I want to be a guide. I'm not a dictator. I'm not telling athletes how to learn. I'm not telling them how to learn. I want them to find out how to learn themselves. And teaching athletes how to learn is so much more valuable than teaching them how to do, right? Once I can unlock that mechanism within them where they're seeking challenges, where they're looking for things above their current skill level, that's all I really need to do. And then I can get out of their way and throw them in the environment that's going to create the changes that we're after.
I also wanted to go off that as well. I noticed that looking at your content, it's very common to see like it's a shin angle change, get up, dunk the ball, and then do a bunch of other drills. How do you come up with such creative drills without it being this wishy-washy sort of thing that it's like, are we actually gaining progress from what we're doing? And how do you implement that with your athletes as well?
I used to think about it more, and now the best things that I do in the gym come out of nowhere. I have an idea that I start with, and I trust myself today. And I've got, again, a lens of thousands upon thousands of athletes, 12 years now of training. I've played overseas, I've done this a long time, and I know what I'm after. And it's presenting a challenge a little bit above their current skill level. So whether we're working on dribbling, shooting, jumping, dunking, my job is to create a challenge 4%. I'll use it 4% higher than their current skill level. And that's what I'm after. So the second something gets stale, I hate stale. And see, I can say something like that in one breath that I hate stale, but then there's also a place where I want to expose athletes to boring and bad drills. So I might bring out a bad drill and have it suck. And I'm like, you guys figure out how to make this drill good. So maybe the lines weren't even, the system of the drill and how it was working, right, isn't good. They don't know where to go and where to be. It's multifaceted and a lot going on. And I'm like, I'll just get out of the way. I'm like, make this good. Figure this out. I want you to figure this out and live in this pain a little bit.
So to me, it's almost like good drill is basically anything with a ball in hand tends to be on the side of a good drill. Anything without too many rules. There's kind of just like 1, 2, or 3 primary goals for it. maybe then the other constraint is we're on the basketball court a lot of the time, even when you're lifting weights.
Yeah, I mean, we got them up on the stage right next to the basketball court, lifting weights mostly. We don't trust once their deadlift gets above a couple 100 pounds, we're moving them down near the court.
Oh yeah, boom.
We don't want to go through the stage. Yeah, it's funny. I call strength training good drill too. I'm not subjecting it to the court. Yeah, I guess I see things differently than other people. I guess I'm looking for different things other than people. I try to take in as much information as I can. I'm reading body language. I'm looking at how they're moving. Is there intent? Is there focus? And I'm a lot more into that realm, like the intention and the focus of the athletes rather than the drill that they're doing, right? How is this presented? What's the energy level here? I can feel learning today. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I can feel when learning is happening, and then I can also feel when it's stagnant and there's no learning happening. And I do everything I can to keep that hour that I have athletes full of learning. And we do a lot of games. I don't post as much games, like our small-sided games. It's more editing and time, I guess. It's easier to rip a skit or, do stuff that you can do alone in the gym. I don't know that it performs better, but it's more efficient process for content showing not small-sided games. But I would say 80% of what we're doing in the gym now, when we're basketball training, is live, small-sided games. Because that's what they're training for, right?
That's what they're
it's
doing,
a 5-on-5 sport. Fans, refs, pressure, the threat of getting taken out of a game if you make a mistake. You can't recreate that, dribbling around cones.
100%.
Outside of, I'm trying to expose them to fear too. Like I want there to be a fear element where, sometimes I get loud, I get boisterous, I make fun of kids. I'm freaking ruthless sometimes. Get the heck out of my gym if you don't want to be here. I don't care. Freaking, you suck. Get out. Like I'll do that sometimes just to see how they respond. I always bring it back. Yeah.
Because it is a controlled environment.
God, it seems to lead to some
whatever.
absolutely clutch stuff on the first attempt. So like I've seen you set challenges, be like, okay, the warm-up doesn't end until someone nails this. And then one of the kids will hit like a tap it 2 times off the backboard, tap it behind the backboard, and then finish the layup. And it's just like, but I guess it is just that, even though they've never done that specifically before, because I know that this is a criticism that comes up of a lot of your good drills is, when are they going to do this in the game? And probably never, but they're going to do some bullshit like that in a game out of nowhere. But that the intention, I guess?
The same people that yell at me, when are you going to do that in a game? They got kids dribbling around cones. I've never seen a cone in a game. Sorry. I've never seen the same people that say that. You know what else they do? They get up 500 reps in the gym alone. You know what doesn't happen in a game? Reps when you're alone. And what else does happen in a game? Strength training. Is that bad? We don't strength train in the game. Is there a benefit to that? Like, it's a dumb thing to say.
Or that point of the year, Luka Doncic, when he's sliding on his back, passes the ball over to Kyrie. Kyrie lays it up for his teammates. Like that is never going to happen in training. You have no opportunity to practice something like that, unless maybe a few good drills, maybe.
Raw says something all the time, and it's like people don't get it because it's such a dumb thing to say. They can do things that you can't, right? Like it's so stupid, right? They're better than you because they can do things that you can't, right? And does your training, is it on that path to doing things that they can do? You watch Luka, he throws the ball up off the scoreboard, it comes down, bounces, and goes in. You watch Steph Curry play golf. You watch how many of these players are phenomenal soccer players. They're just better athletes than you. So what are you doing to become a better, you have to do crazy things. These NBA players, top athletes in any freaking sport, can do things that you can't do. And you're telling me dribbling around a couple cones is going to get you there? You're out of your freaking mind.
If you want access to a community of like-minded coaches, head to the notes below and join our free school community. I'm in there every week doing Q&As, and there's plenty of educational content on the way as well.
Yeah.
So it's more like the way you live your life. You've got to be doing trick shots on the paper bin in class. You've got to be throwing shit back into the fridge. Just living a clutch lifestyle. Are you out there hitting trick shots on the ducks?
No, I should though. That would probably go viral.
All right. I want to get into more now stuff that I've been doing, a bit selfish here. Dunking. Could you break down, to boil it all down past all the creative stuff that you do, what is the bare bones thing that you need to do? Obviously, dunking the ball, practicing the skill, but what are the main things breaking it down from the start?
What are the main things that go into dunking a basketball?
Yeah.
Jumping high enough.
Jumping high enough. Yeah.
I did a video. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm going to go off topic here. I started a video. I said, you can't dunk the ball because you can't jump high enough. And it freaking went bonkers.
That is true. I did it? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, like that was my hook. Like,
He's a genius. He's cracked the code.
Yeah, you can't dunk the ball because you can't jump high enough. Off 2 feet, it's moving out of that squatted posture is big, right? Being able to translate, right, out of your gait cycle into the jump, out of your run into your jump, being able to transfer that is the biggest hang up I see. And people don't practice that enough. They're going to go do, and there's nothing wrong with plyos, right? There's nothing wrong with any of that. Extensive plyos, deep tier. I love all of it. But you can't just go do all of that and not the thing you're trying to get better at. The number one thing that people don't do is the thing they're trying to get better at. I'm going to strength train. I'm going to get on the Vertimax. I'm going to use a freaking flywheel. I'm going to, hit my whatever, but you're not dunking, right? What does the dunk look like? Do you ever do anything that looks like that? Right? That's the number one thing. You can get into, squat. My players that can squat, 2x their body weight, they're typically good jumpers. I don't know. But
I can squat. That's how we know.
That's how I was bringing.
No, that's what I mean. This is the thing. I can cross off so many of the things.
Yeah, and same with jumping
am I
off
the
one.
worst jumper you've ever seen for these physical
Not the
qualities?
worst. You're not good. I don't think you're the worst though.
But it's crazy because I would have thought that the locomotive plyos would have done more for my vert. But in hindsight, it's just all horizontal.
No. It's
even though there's a vertical emphasis to hopping, still horizontal. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll help your single leg. It'll help you get up off.
So fucking obvious.
There'll definitely be a bigger carryover with the hopping and stuff to your single leg, right? Trying to run up and jump off one. But I don't think it's going to help that much with your 2-foot bounce.
Is single leg jumping ability, like a single leg approach jump, a little bit more God-given? I know you have to work on it. That goes without saying, and it can be developed. But do you think it's kind of in you or not? Or do you see yourself developing 1-foot approach jumpers fairly consistently?
You can definitely look at the body types. The single leg jumpers are going to be more springy, narrow, right? Elastic athletes. You can tell them walking in the door. I get kids all the time coming in. I'm a 1-foot jumper. I'm like, okay, we're going to train 2-foot. And then I get the kids coming in saying I'm a 2-foot jumper. I'm like, okay, we're going to train 1-foot. I see working both qualities have an impact on both qualities, right? And I'm pro do it all. Right. I want to be able to come down the lane and dunk when I don't have my feet perfect. I want to be able to come down and dunk off 1. I want to be able to dunk off 2. I want to be able to spin move, get up around somebody and dunk on somebody. So, once we kind of start with the 2-step simple getting up, and then over time, once we start to get that, now you got your first dunk. Now we start to challenge your footwork before the dunk and add a whole bunch of different constraints around it. I don't know if one is more I think they're both. I wouldn't say one is more God-given than the other. Got me thinking here. Good job.
And on that, because I really liked that idea of rolling out of that squatted position into the 2-step off 2 feet. Do you like that same strategy for the 1-footed approach as well? 1 step into it, 2 steps into it.
Yeah, so I'll do it. As much, I don't know if it has as much of a benefit to the single leg jumping with when we're rolling off a chair or getting out of a kneeling position or a crawl and coming out of that. I just go back to I want kids to jump as far as they can off 1 foot, right? So I have these kids taking off from the 3-point line trying to make a layup, right? And now they're running the length of the court, 50 feet or whatever it is, and I'm just yelling at them to get as fast as they can, take off. I think a lot of players that struggle off one, they're scared to take off one at speed. Right. So let's meet them where they're at, get them at a level that they're comfortable taking off 1 foot. And you can see the kids that can't jump off 1 foot, they are not confident in their ability to jump off 1 foot. So how do we instill that confidence? Right. All right. What can you get here? Right. And once you start setting goals and you kind of normalize competition, right, and messing up and failure, and it's like such a normal thing in our gym to fall short, not even fall short, fall on your face. Like it happens all the time, but we set a goal, you're taking off from this line. You're going to mark how far you jump. The next time your goal is to beat it. Goal after that is to beat it. And now you're just progressing. Right. And now again, I'm not coaching how to jump off 1 foot. I'll say ever. Right. I'm just setting a goal out that is slightly above what they can currently do. And you can watch them just organize and overcome the obstacles they have in their head and with their, physical limitations as well. It's all addressed.
It's almost like on top of all the other things that coaches are typically progressively overloading, you focus on progressively overloading failure, competitiveness, and all those sorts of things just as much.
Yeah, there's
Whereas
not
I just
many
look
things.
at those things where people have tried to sterilize them out of training.
Yeah. There might be some warm-ups that aren't gamified, but most of what we're doing, even if it's not live defense and it's a drill, it's who can get this first wins, right? We're going to 3, who can get the highest. Everything I do, I'm trying to get that competitiveness going.
Do you, just what you sort of touched on, you're like occasionally in a warm-up, I'll sort of shield them from doing something ultra competitive, or maybe where they like start their day off on the right foot. Do you find yourself identifying many kids where you're like, oh, this kid just can't handle it today, I need to find a win for him? Or is it a pretty ruthless environment? You're looking to expose that and you're like, that kid will go away crying. And if they do come back, then they'll figure it out. Or is there another side to Bobby where you pull him aside and be like, hey, let's have a chat?
That's the real Bobby. Let's have a chat. When I'm coaching and training, it's we've been ruthless, probably more ruthless since Ross got involved and coming in here. I mean, I go off. There's nothing wrong with having fun, right? That's with my skill set. That's why I had to come to grips with this. I'm like, is it wrong that I am the way that I am? And what I came to the conclusion is that my skill set is not suited for people that want to just come in and have fun. I want to teach people how to be freaking amazing, right? So I am not going to yell at anybody that walks in my door and says, I kind of like basketball. I just want to be okay at it. It's something fun. It's a social thing for me. I will never wait. Like, okay, let's have some fun. Let's roll the balls out, right? Well, I'll get you better. We don't have a lot of those athletes, right? But I'm communicating that with the athletes when they walk in. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 3 is our highest level athlete. Anybody that's in level 3 is not there unless they want to play at college. I know what it's like to play in college, right? So I am coming at them. I am testing them. I'm, show up or whatever.
I guess that's the thing, because if they're in that level 3, you don't have to worry about anything that you're doing to them, because you've been there. It is going to get worse at the end of the day. If they get spat out in your system, it's probably good that they realize
as much as I tell them that, they don't get it until they're there. And then they get to college and I get a text message every single time. It's harder than I could have ever imagined. I'm like, yeah, I told you. Like, that's what I was trying to get you ready for. Of course. I've had some dogs, like straight up dogs in my gym that I didn't think were going to struggle at the next level at all. Even some of them sent me a text. I can't believe how hard this is. Wow. Once the Division I level is high major. I mean, you have no time. This is life. Like, you're just, it's hard.
Yeah. Going off that now, with the sort of from online, I can really feel how electric the environment is in the gym. How do you make a good environment for people to grow and people to be, helping each other out? Because I eventually want to open up a facility or something like that one day with Gus, hopefully. So how do you make that, like, what are the standards that you provide for your athletes to make it a good environment?
It's a lot of truth, right? My job is not to make my players feel good. It's to make them good, right? I heard that at a seminar I went to years ago, and I kind of took that and ran with it. My job is not to make them feel good. It's to make them good. I know what the people down the street are doing. I live in North Jersey. Basketball is huge. The amount of different gyms out there, basketball trainers, it's hundreds, if not thousands. I know what they're all doing, right? So what's different about me? Who am I? The way I communicate, the way I run, I got to find out. It's like I got young trainers that come up underneath me right now, and I talk to them all the time, and some of them get it and some of them don't. I'm like, you need to find your voice, and your voice, like, watch me, learn from me. That's what I did. I got around the best trainers I could find. I found mentors. I went all over the country, all over the world, right, to learn from people. And it was not as much of the X's and O's and the science, right, and the training. It was how do they carry themselves? How do they communicate? And what they all had in common was the experience, right? When you watch people at the highest level work with athletes, there's an experience that is different than when you go to whatever gym down the street and watch. I hate that. I hate mediocrity. I hate just doing what everybody else is doing. I've always been somebody to go against the grain and do it my way. You tell me to go left, I'm going right. And that's in my DNA, right? So now I got to find athletes that gel with that, and it's okay, right? I tell you, like, you don't need to train with me, and if you don't want to train with me, if I'm not your cup of tea, I'm okay with that today. I wasn't in the beginning. The beginning, honestly, I'm training anybody, right? I did general pop. I trained lacrosse teams. I worked with a whole bunch of different sports, older people, whatever. Well, I worked with literally everybody, and then over time, right? I got to where I am now, working with all basketball players. But to create that environment, it's like you draw the line, right? They're coming into my gym, and it's scary sometimes because you want to build a business, you want to make money, you want them to keep paying you, but it's like, the thought of having 1,000 kids in my gym that suck never excited me, right? I don't care if I could make millions of dollars. If I got 1,000 kids in that never excited me. I'd rather have 10 of the right kids. So early on, I went out, the town that I'm in, I connected with the best player on that team. I started training the best player. I got him better. Then what did he talk to? The best players' friends are also good at basketball, right? And then I would go down to the local LA fitnesses, the local gyms, the local places, and I would find people that love basketball and are hungry to get better. And those are the people that I invested my time in. And I went to watch their games. And now these are kids, I'll be in their wedding someday. They're home from school now. A lot of them don't even play basketball anymore, and we're still close, right? And I really invested time in the athletes that were hungry like I was. I was hungry to get athletes better. I was looking for athletes that were hungry to get better in basketball.
Yeah, well.
How do you strike that balance when you're a struggling coach, where maybe you are more worried about what the customer thinks? Or is that something that you just need to have some integrity and lose the customer?
You need to eat. You need to pay your rent. I mean, some people don't, but I'd like to be able to do that. I was fortunate again. At 24, I'm a heroin addict. I started doing this at 24 and a half. I didn't have much. I didn't have any other responsibility, so I didn't need much. If I had to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and sleep on the floor, that was fine. I was like, people are paying me a couple dollars, to train athletes. This is amazing, right? So I didn't really need much, but it's, read the room, right? If you have to I know a lot of people that train general pop clients, and that's fine, and they don't love it, but it's a paycheck, and then they can, that affords them the opportunity to do things outside of the gym that they want to do. But if you want, create the culture you crave, right? That's a good one. Create the culture you crave.
Damn.
What are the best resources? Because I know you love thinking about environmental dynamics, or a very ecological approach to your coaching system as a whole. Where did that come from? Realizing that the athletes are a product of an environment, not like this cause and effect, real linear sort of training effect thing. What was the inspiration?
I honestly got on that kick from going through functional range conditioning, FRC. And a lot of that is rooted in ecological dynamics, which is crazy. So I no mobility, IR, like negative, right? I don't move well. So I got on a mobility kick for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I went to every FRC seminar I could, kin stretch, the whole 9 yards, and went through that entire thing. And then I came across, through their research, ecological dynamics. I met a guy in there, James Chung, Chungy Chung on IG, shout out. He said, you got to read this book.
If you're sick of going goblin mode on the same 4 accessory exercises at the end of every single session, head to the notes below and grab our free gymnastics program. It'll change the way you think about accessories forever.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Legend.
Anyway, so he got me, nonlinear pedagogy and skill acquisition. I don't think I ever finished that book. I'll read a page and read a page again and then go back. I was like, what the hell does this mean? Right. And then I got into Gray with How We Learn to Move and all that stuff. It makes sense to me. I start to see these other, like all these different worlds kind of come together. I tell the story often how when I was starting, people told me to focus on one thing, and you see it so much. You got the mobility guy, you got the kettlebell guy, you got the Olympic lifting guy, you got the shooting guy in the basketball world, you got the, all these different guys. And I was like, I don't want to be a guy. I want to be the Swiss Army knife. I want to know how to serve the person in front of me to the best of my ability. And I was open to, I was aware of what I didn't know. And I think even today, I'm very good at knowing what I don't know. And if I don't know something, I don't know something. But guess what? You might know something. And then I go to you and learn. And when you start that path, it's like the ego is no longer there because I'm just looking to learn and serve the people in front of me to the best of my ability. And if somebody has a problem that I can't figure out, I'm not going to try to figure it out. And that's what gets me into the mobility, the FRC, the motor learning, and where I'm at now. I will never say ecological dynamics or motor learning in any of my posts because I don't want to be freaking pigeonholed. I don't want to, he's a motor learning guy. Like, I don't even say it.
Yeah.
Like, have I read the literature? Yeah, but I don't talk about it. I say good drill.
How do you, it seems from my perspective, I feel like you do a really good job of managing the ego because you take yourself seriously, like you back yourself and you know that you should be taking action and you know that you have value to contribute, but then you're also always learning. You're very self-critical. Is this a deliberate and daily exercise? Is it a conscious practice or is it just sort of something it's the way you live your life?
Yeah.
Do you think about your ego?
All the time. My brain is always going. And I used to be very deliberate with journaling and time in the morning and time at night, recounting my day. What did I do well today? What did I do wrong? Where did I fall short? Who did I, and honestly, it was a lot. It's not as rigorous today, but it's because I think I've kind of just adapted to a way of life that I know when things are off and what I have to do. Right. There's times I journal, there's times I read, there's times I go, at one point in my life, I'm going to a therapist 2-3 times a week. And now it's, once every other couple months to check in, make sure everything's okay. But with the past I have to be very, very vigilant. Right. If I start sleeping 4 hours a night, that's not good. Right. And the longer I kind of overcome this stuff and get through these things, I can start to pick up the red flags a lot sooner. There used to be a time where I would go into I'd be a nervous wreck, completely anxious, depressed even. And there was a thought that I may never get out of this. Am I going to feel this way forever? You wake up in the morning and it's like, how am I going to get through it? When you wake up in the morning and the first thing in your head is like, shit, that's not good. Right. And when that used to happen, I would be in that place and I would really question whether I would ever get out of that place. Now I have bad days and I get anxiety and I deal with all this, but I know I'm going to get through it because I've gotten through it so many times. So although I still have those same feelings, I'm not scared that those feelings are going to last forever and I'm going to be depressed or anxious forever. So again, I've talked about it before about the people I have surrounded, like my wife, she's tough, right? My guy, Alex, who went through your thing, right? That's one of my best friends on this earth. I would do anything for him. He would do anything for me. If he sees me acting funny, he's telling me you're acting funny. Right. And, I got to have that stuff around me.
It's a lot to deal with. Like sort of going from being a heroin addict, even to having a normal life to then being a heroin addict to crossing through the middle zone quite quickly and then over into what I look at as quite an extraordinary life. Like it would be, it's a bit to handle. I, sorry, actually, yeah. Say further I want to go into than that, just sort of on the topic of thinking about your own ego and knowing yourself. When you meet new people and they're not fitness people, and they're like, "Oh, Bobby White," and that you're asked to introduce yourself. Like, how do you introduce yourself? Like, who's Bobby White? Sorry for a bit of a cliche question, but so curious.
Like, you mean like when they ask me what I do?
Yeah,
I just say I train basketball players.
yeah, and you just leave it at that. Yeah,
Yeah, I just leave it at that. Oh, what do you do? I was like, I got a gym. That's cool. I got an app. I don't really ever get into it.
How much of your self-worth comes from what you do?
Very little. None of it.
Damn.
Really?
How'd you get to
How
that?
can you?
Damn.
I don't understand how how you can attack it the way you do, and then hold that.
That's why I can attack it the way I do. There's no value in it to me. My value is there. I don't care about that number. I don't need to train basketball players to be happy. I'm a man of service. I love serving people, but it's a crazy thing. I've been having this conversation. I could walk away from this tomorrow and be fine.
Wow.
Is this a gratitude thing? Is this back to what Jacob told me in Bali? Do you think that it stems from being grateful to be able to do what you do, or like? I don't get it.
Thing I do. It's a thing. I'm not going to attach who I am to a thing that I do. I know I'm good with people. I know I'm good with training basketball players. I know today that if I put my mind to something, I can excel at it. It doesn't need to be training basketball players. And it's like, I think you talk about people standing up for the industry and pushing the industry forward. I could care less about pushing the industry. That is not why I'm on this earth, to push the basketball training industry forward. Is that happening? Yes. Do I have a good product? Yes. Do I believe in what I do? Yes. Do I think I'm better than most people at what I do? Certainly. But I'm not put on this earth to move the freaking basketball training industry forward.
Is it because you back yourself so heavily that, if it were to all go down, that you believe that you've developed the skill sets to just build something up again? Is that what you mean?
Easily.
Or is it? Okay.
Without a doubt in my mind. I couldn't put a sentence together 12 years ago, and now I have 691,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I did it in 2 years.
Even if you look at it from purely, let's say that you weren't a basketball guy.
You're talking about ego. I don't think that's ego. Like, what I go through in therapy is cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, right? Backing up your thoughts. And it's like, if I actually look at the evidence behind this and unpack it, it's like, no. And I do that. That's on all the time now. Like that, anything I say, I got to question my thoughts. I got to attack my thoughts. I got to go through it. And it's just kind of how I approach life now. So like now I can say things like that confidently because I'm pretty sure it's true,
Pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So
Yeah.
it is through that process of checking the delusion. Maybe like you used to be delusional back in the heroin days. You're like, I am the man. And you never really looked for any proof of that.
Manic,
and then obviously you start to get these feelings again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Full just like God complex. Like.
So in this conversation with you, right? In the day-to-day though, it is problem after problem. Right. And I'm beginning to believe that's what success is. Right. In the day, it's problem after problem. But when you can zoom out macro, you can see this trajectory of, winning. But in the day, it's like everything is broken. And I'm very good at finding problems. I'm very good at, I'm very good at finding problems, and I'm just constantly looking for problems. And that's what's harder for me actually, is detaching from the problems. So if something's wrong with the business, is that affecting, my relationship with my wife? Right. Because once I get my mind on problem with the business is a great thing, because that means there's room for improvement. But it's hard to then snap out of it when I go home and not be looking at, the problems with my house or whatever it is. And that's actually what I'm working on the most right now, is being able to leave the business problems as business problems and not having that carry over to my mindset and my day-to-day life with my relationships and whatever else I'm doing.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be a skill
that must
to develop.
That must be tough, because that's something that I need to know that I'll address before I have my family. Because how long have you been a father for? Your second or third year?
She just turned 2. Yeah, she just turned 2 last week.
Yeah. Like that must be like quite a steep learning curve. Yeah, very, very jealous of the family setup. Every time you share the insights into the family and give us updates on that, I'm just like, oh, fuck. He
Even
has
that
made
is
it.
ruined now.
He's
Like
achieved the
that's like
work
I can
dream.
no longer even do that. Like, it's like ruined because that even has like a business angle, and I know it.
600,000.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm showing family and baby today. Yeah, they're gonna sympathize.
He's being real.
But
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for that, but I know what it like. That does have a repercussion on the business. So even that's ruined. Like I want to. It's crazy.
All the world's the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll post my baby, but not my hunting. That's crazy. I gotta look at that.
It is funny, like, yeah, it's funny how it all comes out when it's just so fucking off the cuff. Do you feel like when I look at, again, the good drills, sorry to just going back to that, is the main intention with your whole system, I get the feeling that you're just looking at everyone being overwhelmed by information and people aren't taking action, and that maybe one of your central beliefs is that it is just about pushing people to take action. There's enough good drills out there that they will find it. It's like, again, what is my issue? Like, we can do the needs analysis, but ultimately I am not doing the thing. I've gone out and done every single thing but the actual thing. Not that my sole priority has been approach jumping, but looking at things from that perspective. Is that basically what it comes down to? Kids are just sitting on the couch, not with the ball in hand enough, not approach jumping enough?
I don't think they're just sitting on the couch, but I don't think they know how to learn. I think that's the bigger problem. So there's plenty of kids sitting on the couch. There's plenty of kids scrolling that are taking in information, They see a workout. I'm going to go do this workout. What does that workout get you better? I don't know. I'm going to go do this workout now. Did that workout get you better? I don't know. I got sore, right? So I think it's probably harder I think it's harder than ever for young athletes right now to just start doing something because of the amount of information that's thrown at them every single day. Everybody's saying different things. Everybody's saying this is the best. This is going to work faster. I'm going to get 6.4 inches on your vertical jump in freaking 30 days, whatever it is. And I'm one of those guys, right? But I know on the back end, when you get into my app and our community, right, we're going to take you through a 9-step process, and we're going to figure out who you are, and we're going to get you into the community. We're going to have you measure, right? We're going to have you go through some of our stuff. We're going to have you remeasure, and we're just trying to teach you. If we could just teach kids that, like, all right, you want to jump higher. What's your vert? 9 out of 10 have no idea.
Test.
Right. And I think that is test. Like weight loss knows that. Weight loss knows that, right? Weigh yourself. You'll start losing weight, right? So you want to jump higher. Measure your vert. Pick a plan, stick to plan. Pick my program, pick your program, pick whoever else's program. Remeasure at the end of program. Did it get better? Yes. Keep going. Didn't get better? Pick another program, repeat the same process. And if you can just understand that, you're going to figure it out.
Is measuring too frequently a problem, and can measuring too frequently cause doubt and shifting around protocols too frequently? How do we manage that?
I can say 4 to 6 weeks. So we take a measurement. So getting them into our app, we do want to give them a quick result. And I think getting kids off the couch into our app and doing what we do with them in the first 7 days, right? They can feel difference, right? So we have them so it's like a micro of that cycle where day 1, you measure, you go through 5-6 days of training. Day 7, you remeasure, just to kind of understand that process. And now that process is going to be mirrored on a bigger scale with the other phases of training we have in the app. So now you're going to go through phase 1. That's 4 weeks, right? You're going to measure. And then we have different measurements. So I think also if you're measuring the same thing, would probably do what you're talking about, but we're measuring broad jumps, we're measuring triple jumps, we're measuring approach jumps, we're measuring jumps off one. And typically before their basketball workout, we want them measuring something. And I think that gets the competitiveness out, right? You go out there and you compete with yourself. It could, I think, I feel like you're going to get down on yourself because your vert didn't go up. Like, you're not going to make it, buddy. Like, get over it. Like, I don't know. Can I help you then? I don't know.
We're talking about, so what do you think about trying to focus on improving sprint speed to help with approach jumps? But then a lot of people can't even handle the velocity. So is it even helpful for a lot of people to improve their approach speed when a lot of the time you spend building up off a 1-step, 2-step, 3-step? At what point am I going to be able to maximally run in and approach jump well, if ever?
Yeah, we don't do a lot of sprinting. And if it is, it's quick bursts. It's, from the baseline to the foul line, it's quick. We do time. So we'll use some type of timing device and we'll put it on half court and we will get it. That'll be one of the measurements. We take a half court sprint. I'm not going to lie and say we do a lot of sprinting. So I'm probably, if I unpack why I don't do a lot of sprinting, it's probably because of what you're saying. And I'd rather just get them jumping off of 1 foot. Again, sprinting is great. Running, I sprint, right? So with my athletes, and it could just be the space that I'm in, right? I mean, I'm in a basketball court. I'm not in a gym with a track, and it's harder to sprint. These kids are also the amount of volume, right, with their basketball schedule outside of what they're doing with me. These kids are just getting killed. I mean, they'll play 7 games in a weekend, and then they have practice out. They're all over the place. So I don't know. I don't do a lot of sprinting anymore.
That was the answer I wanted.
Yeah, but that means
I'm too fast.
So we're not
to approach
sprinting,
jump.
but we're racing.
It's my speed that's the issue.
We have them racing all the time, though, without a ball in their hand, with the ball in their hand. I don't know how much improving their top end speed would improve them as basketball players. And honestly, I don't know how much improving one thing in general across the board is going to make them better basketball players. The sport is so dynamic and there's so much involved with basketball and so many qualities that you need to have to be an excellent basketball player. It's like nothing I do in the weight room is going to make them a great basketball player. I could turn them into a great shooter and just, address their 3-point shooting ability. But if, they can't move, who cares? You're going to be sitting on the bench with a great jump shot.
Do you have advice for, because as much as you're saying like, just having a great jumper, that doesn't make a basketball player. Yet when scouters are out looking at players, obviously that's why they boil things down to the key metrics. Or is it one of those things where you can't fake it in an actual game? All of those things will still go to shit if you're not a complete basketball player. Like, is there a particular package that you tell athletes to strive towards because like, this is exactly what they are looking for? Like, these particular qualities, regardless of what's going on in the game, try to show this sort of stuff, or it is just about, you just got to be good at the end of the day? Can I give you an example? Because I've heard that speed is really overvalued in a lot of team sports. If they see someone who's lightning, they're like, yeah, he's running the wrong direction, but I'll take a chance on that player, not knowing anything else about them.
I mean, the NBA combine is not very important, but they might have a half court sprint, but most of the qualities, right? There's a defensive drill, right? It's like a line touch around the paint. They have an approach vert. They've got, what are the other? So they're not, I don't think there's any other sprinting metric in the NBA combine than a half court sprint. Maybe it's a full court sprint, but that's still only 94 feet. So it's at 30 meters. What was your question about if it's overvalued?
No, I was just sort of talking about whether or not we can just boil down like a skill set to be more attractive to scouters, almost as a way of gaming the system. Again, the same way an NFL player might impress scouts with crazy combine, but then you get them out there on the pitch, it's like they're a bit fucking useless.
No. How do you fit it at the highest level? If you're not LeBron or one of these NBA All-Stars, they're looking for roles to fit. They're looking for positions to fill a role, right? They're trying to build teams around the guy on their team that's going to score 25, 30 points a game. So do you fit that role in the organization? And, obviously at the different positions, there's different sizes, anthropometrics, but it's not any one quality that you can cheat the system.
Yeah, it seems like you can't chase that. On the topic of LeBron, What do you think about the whole LeBron-Bronny experiment? Are you
I'm excited.
optimistic,
I was gonna ask
or do you
that,
think it's
yeah.
going to work out awkwardly?
I wouldn't say I'm optimistic. I'm excited. I'm not going to take a hard take here for the sake of a hard take. I think it's cool. I think the guy LeBron's been in the 40 years old. Put his son on a team. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
Crazy.
Made his own player. Crazy.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I root for everybody. I really do. Like when players get into trouble, battle mental health issues, get caught with a gun in their car. Like with my past, it's like I jump on the other side. Man, I can't. I hope this guy makes it because I love the comeback stories. Bronny's not going to be a comeback story. It's going to be, there's just a lot of anticipation around it. But he's going to have the freaking world stacked against him coming into this with all the spotlight, and that's hard to handle for anybody. He came up in it though, so he might be like well suited for the spotlight. Obviously, being LeBron's son, it is wild if you think about the numbers he put up in college, and now he's an NBA draft.
And then what he's doing it,
yeah.
So do you think there's definitely stuff behind the scenes going on there, or is it just he got there?
I mean, he's on the Lakers and his dad's there, so there's something going on.
Yeah. That is true.
But is that wrong? I don't think that's. I wouldn't want that. I don't say that to say it's wrong. I'm just.
Yeah.
Because there is that ultimate accountability, because as much as people can say that he's only there just because of who his dad is, that LeBron's taking that on. Like, LeBron's not an idiot. He knows the optics of the situation. They're eating dinner across from each other every single night. Bronny, again, unless he's got zero self-awareness, he's acutely aware of the situation. Even if this works out okay, the amount of pressure that Bronny has shouldered is just fucking insane.
Yeah.
Even if it goes to shit, it's impressive.
But a lot of, outside of, I guess sports, how many people are where they are because of who they know?
Exactly.
Now, but that's going to get you in the door, right? You still have to do something now. So now it's his time to do something. You look all over any profession. You might get your foot in the door because of who you know, but now it's time to show. And if he doesn't play, he won't ever play.
The shit will always expose itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of clips around circling social media about what people are doing in the NBA when it comes to training. Is there anything that you see and it's like, we could make such an easy fix if players did this? Or
no,
do you think everything's going
I'm
okay?
not the guy that would ever say anything like that.
I
have no skin in the game. I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. I've got a couple friends that are there and they do a good job. To speak on whatever anybody else is doing, I have no idea. I mean, You're working with thoroughbred horses at that point, keep them on the floor.
Yeah, that's the main thing, just keeping them healthy. Yeah. Because they're there because they're there.
Plenty of good drills in the NBA.
Yeah, no, you're seeing it shift though. Clips will come out of the Celtics won the championship last year, and you see what they're doing, like throwing wild passes at the guys in their practices. Again, I don't even like to say CLA, but the constraints-led approach is being adopted at the highest levels because the science points there, and what people do at the highest levels is going to follow the science about 10 years behind it. But you're seeing a lot of good drill-esque stuff at the college and the pro level.
That's awesome to see.
It's cool, but I don't even like to say that word. Can we bleep that out? I don't want to be one of those guys.
Okay. We'll bleep it out. We can make a note for our podcast producers, be like, boop. They're not even going to know what you're referring to there. But yeah, it is crazy because with over 600,000 people, I mean, God knows what the combined following between Good Drills, Bobby Whyte, Ross, and everyone there, it's like, it's no secret anymore. Like, Good Drills has gone mainstream. Do you feel that? Like, do you feel like you've gone mainstream, relatively speaking?
No. That's what my life is the same. I haven't changed anything. I got my little house.
You're not an underdog anymore.
I feel like an underdog.
Wow. That's a better mindset to have, I guess.
So again, I think I don't even like saying I'm successful. I don't feel like I am what I am, but I have I feel like it's a mess right now. I feel like everything's a mess. I feel like our product's broken. Our model's broken. We got to fix it all. We got to make everything better. I feel like I'm just beginning. Yeah.
I mean, you'd rather that than being all satisfied, you know? Yeah.
I wanted, from an outsider's perspective, it feels like I know that the system and the curriculum isn't set in stone, but I'm going through a huge restructure with my whole training model, with my business model, and with my products. And I was like, from an outsider's perspective, I feel like you've just got the good drill system, and the primary focus is just expanding the audience and expanding the market. But so behind the scenes, it is just constantly just like steam's going off, cogs are going everywhere, constantly reiterating.
Retest.
Okay, that's good to know.
No,
with everything,
we're doing well. What's really cool to me is the amount of people involved with this right now that you guys have no idea. I mean, we probably have 20 people attached to this thing right now, and all these little like micro systems going on, from a content to our emails to our ads to our to copyright, like everything that's going on right now. I'm like, how did this happen? And it's hard to keep it all together.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to watch, and it inspires me and it motivates me. So yeah, I just want to thank you.
No, you guys are great.
Coming on and
thanks,
taking us down the good drills rabbit hole.
That was awesome.
Thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
We value your input here at the High Performance Podcast. Head to the SpeakPipe link in the notes below and you can leave us a voicemail where you can ask us a question or leave us a topic for us to explore on the show. We hope to hear from you soon.